This vlog is brought to you in moral support of animetric.com.
Hi there, this is 42317 and I thought I'd share with you a book which I've read lately. It is called An Empire of Schools by Robert L. Cutts. It was published in New York and London by M.E. Sharp Incorporated in 1997. Mr. Cutts is a journalist who has been active in Asia for quite some time. And he writes about the Japanese educational system, the Todai system as he calls it, and how it was related to Japanese politics and how it served nationalist purposes. Um, my main critique of this book is that he evokes the impression that the phenomena he describes were uniquely Japanese while they are not. Thus, his selling points is making Japanese look alien and more foreign than they actually deserve. I'm gonna go over this real quick because I have only 10 minutes time and the book is, um, about this big, and so please bear with me. First, he says that the Japanese principle of social harmony was derived from pre-modern times when you either worked together or you died. Yeah, that's not really Japanese, it's the same all over the world. Then he says that individual social progress was closely linked to the well-meaning of a superior who gives recommendations about your promotion and all that, which is also not uniquely Japanese. You can find this all over the planet. Then he says that most Todai students were from well-off families, and 10% of the Todai students were from families, the head of which was also a Todai graduate, and that the sons of farmers and fishermen were rather rare on campus. Yep, that's also not uniquely Japanese, because I think that most college students are from families of the middle class, and that the lower working class is underrepresented on campus and campuses all over the world actually. Then he says that true decisions of Japanese society and politics were made behind closed doors. So he says that it's not the parliament who makes the decisions, but there is an elite group of people, the bureaucrats, who decide where the Japanese ship is supposed to steer. And again, that is not uniquely Japanese. You have these groups of elite people who make the decisions all over the planet. Oh yeah, here, universities never ask students what they wanted to become, in terms of a vocation, a profession, or whatever. So he says that the universities only educated or trained generalists who could then enter the job market and who could then be formed by the respective companies in a way that the companies deem proper. That is, of course, a little different from the education elsewhere, right? But that sounds like Mr. Katz was of the opinion that Japanese kids never developed wishes of their own, what they wanted to become. And that is nonsense. That is nonsense. Japanese kids have wishes about what they want to become, and they do not all want to enter high-class universities. Some want to become firefighters, and I have met a girl who wants to become a cook.
Later, Katz says that it was very important for your career in Japan if you uphold good relations from college days. Why is this uniquely Japanese? I cannot tell, because good old boys contacts are the norm all over the world, and people who have graduated from the same university, who went to the same seminars, know each other, of course, help each other in business life. Katz mentions two people, one a high-level bureaucrat, the other a baker. But they went to elementary school together, and he says that they still met each other, had a friendly relationship, called each other by the names that they used back then in the old days, Keisuke-chan, for example, or whatever, although their hierarchical difference was quite large. That's sunshine. Then he says that the birth rate in about 1990 was 1.5 kids per woman. I looked that up. In 2005, it was 1.29 kids per woman, which poses a threat to demographics and to the pension system of Japan. Thing is that Katz attributes this this low birth rate to the high costs of education, for one thing. Bringing your kid through all the educational institutions up to university, up to graduation, costs, he says, about $200,000. If that kid aspires to be a dentist and goes to private universities, it may be up to $500,000. While at the same time, the average income of a Japanese employee is only $2 million US dollars per life. Yeah. Furthermore, he says that the growing urbanization with its narrow living conditions and all was also a reason for young persons and young couples to not have kids. Okay, he's not wrong on that, but I'll still say there is a further reason, which is individualism. It's more an egotistical wish to enjoy one's freedom than really the long-term planning of a life income versus the educational costs for a single child. Katz also mentions something that is called the Heisenberg principle. It says that when a teacher and an outsider is present, people behave better than usual, which in this context would mean that if I visit a class and there is a teacher who presents the class and what they have learned, whatever, the kids were supposed to act 200% correct and Japanese in order to impress the teacher as well as the outsider. Then again, this does not correspond with my personal experience. I have met classes, elementary school and high school, and nobody acted overly correct. In fact, it was a pretty relaxed atmosphere, and kids made fun. They were just being kids. So I think Katz is definitely exaggerating at this point. Yeah, this is a funny one. The author says that it was considered good behavior in a company to repay debts. In a way, if someone does you a favor, of course you agree to do that person a favor. You're also wondering why he mentions that? I don't know, because I thought that was a normal human thing to do, repay your debts, repay favors and all. So saying this or only implying that this was a uniquely Japanese habit is moronic. Last but not least, what struck me about the author is the fact that Mr. Katz does not speak Japanese himself. He conducts all his interviews with the help of an interpreter, which means he has no whatsoever access to Japanese sources. So his judgment is definitely impaired by this, because he must rely on translations and publications by Western authors. So it has to be taken with a grain of salt, whatever he writes. Thank you very much. So much for me. See you later.